welcome back to the program. And of course, สวัสดีค่ะคุณเชน
สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับ
And as we promised, Kun Chen will tell us a little bit more about the whole Southern violence situation, as well as perhaps fill us in about the peace talk process and what's going on.
To make it easier, we have to talk about history a bit. Because in the past, Pattani as a state was linked to Ayutthaya since 1350 through commerce, though it had a bit inferior role as it had to offer flowers made by gold to Ayutthaya as a sign of tribute and loyalty.
Okay.
And Siam or Ayutthaya at that moment officially included Pattani into its territory in 1902 during the King Rama V dynasty, also the Thai administrative reform during that period of time, excluding the Malay ruler out of the Siam system.
Okay.
So back in the day, Malay and Pattani actually had the same status before it got reformed.
Okay.
So what is a big challenge here is that Pattani is the only Malay state cut from other Malay states. So Pattani was cut from Saiburi, Kelantan, Terengganu and Perlis, and it is the only Malay state attached to the Thai territory.
Okay.
So Siam actually separate them.
Yes.
So they were their own little territory, but somehow we decide that part of them should come this way and another part should stay that way.
I think in the olden days, that's kind of...
It was the Anglo-Siam Treaty. Not only Thailand decided to separate them.
Right.
But so the fight for autonomy has begun since then. And what is more challenging is the politics of identity. That is the Education Act during the time of the King Rama VI. This act says that the teaching of the Thai language is compulsory for all child educated in the Kingdom of Thailand, regardless of the ethnicity of the children.
Okay.
So some may say it as the way that the state try to build the Thai identity. But to tell the truth, to build any identity is almost impossible for the person to preserve the old one.
Right.
And the language is the most expect identity.
Right. So it's easier, like you identify yourself a lot easier with the whole language thing.
Yes.
Right? So in terms of, I want to know a little bit about Pattani. So right now, Pattani province versus the rest of the province, or are there other...
Pattani state is now...
Not a province.
No,
Back then
it was the
state.
Malay state.
Right.
But now there are the three provinces in Thailand: Narathiwat, Yala, and Pattani.
Okay.
That all of those three provinces used to be under one Pattani state.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, when you were talking about language, I watched a documentary not so long ago. They make about the southern part of Thailand, the problem and the separatism division, and they talk about how a lot of local people not too happy when the government make Thai language compulsory and the main language to use, and it's almost make them it's almost they feel like they are forced to forget their own root language and religion, or they feel like their own belief and their own tradition got neglected by the government. So I think that's part of the problem too.
Yes, and not only about the identity issue, the Thai state has been criticized for overusing violence to control all the situation in the area as well. But the main problem is that the authority refuse to see this problem as the armed control problem. They rather see it as an internal affair, where the government in the past preferred to have a bilateral negotiation with Malaysia.
Okay. So is that why they have a peace talk in Kuala Lumpur right now?
Yes, because one of the argument in the proposal is to have Malaysia as facilitator in the negotiation
like,
process.
almost like a mediator.
So
trying
why
to
do you
patch
think
things up.
having Malaysia as the facilitator or a middle person would help instead of just bilateral? What would be the main difference?
I think because from the beginning, they believe that they are Malaysian. So to have Malaysia government as a facilitator might at least make them feel that they will be treated right.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay.
Uh,
And for so the BRN, do you know a little bit about them?
Yes.
Like this particular factions, how they come about, so on and so forth.
The history of BIN, it started in 1963. And between that time, during 1960 to 1998, there were around 60 militant groups.
60.
60.
In around that area?
The three provinces,
around
the
that
deep south of Thailand.
little area of three
Yeah, it's not
provinces.
that big, isn't it? 60.
But they are only the 4 most active, which are
and they don't fight each other? 60?
not really. Okay. the 4 of them are the National Revolution Front, or the BRN, the Patani United Liberation Organization of Pulo, the New Pulo, and the Islamic Mujahideen Movement of Patani. The 4 have different ideologies, but what they have in common is that they have desire to reunite the Malay state and have Patani as the center.
So that would include at this point Yala and
Narathiwat.
Narathiwat as well.
Is that part of the reason why when the government mentioned the idea of making Pattani state, it makes a lot of people raise their eyebrow and show opposition? Somehow it makes some people feel like this is the beginning of separation?
I don't want you to see it as the end of negotiation process, because what is compromised today can be changed tomorrow or in the future in the way that our partners can accept it.
Right.
So
Okay.
in the peace talk, I mentioned earlier because we talked to get to each other before the break, before we come to the show, that you have talked to someone who attended the peace talk as well. Could you perhaps give us a little bit insight on that?
Actually, the very particular person informed me that the peace talk is not a new issue in this country. All the NGO in the civil society in the deep south have been talking to the BRN and other militant groups along with the authority as well. And to be honest, many governments in the past, if I name it, you wouldn't believe me, have secretly negotiated with all the militant groups.
Right.
Oh.
So this current government is actually braver to put this issue on the table.
So put this issue public like this, do you think it will make the result come out any differently from before?
Yeah, would that be better? Because we did talk about it before about how if the government, or the authorities provide facts for the people and inform people, that would be better.
It is a bit difficult now because the responsible organization, the Office of National Security Council or the NSC, also has its own internal problem with the switching of the directors and such, and the working style that do not encourage people, the relevant partner, to actually participate in the peace negotiation.
But I still believe that a lot of people still hopeful somehow from the peace talk that's happening today.
What the civil society in the South are concerned right now is that during the peace negotiation process, there's still the violence that actually escalated.
Right.
Yeah, we have talked about
and
that
they
too.
are afraid that the authority might see this negotiation as a mistake and decided to use violence to control the area instead.
Or to show the
So,
opposition.
What they are hope to see now is to see more tolerance from the authority.
Oh, so they have to stand still
Yes.
at this point.
That is actually scary. I mean, it's a very complicated issues. It involves many layers of thinking, thought process, and problem, not just religion, not just language, not just identity. I think it's escalated for too long.
Right.
It has been. I hope that it's not beyond fixable, but it's gonna take a long while to be able to get back to more peaceful situation.
But we have hope now because at least it's on the table.
Yes.
At least they're doing it differently. If you hope for different result, you have to try to do
That's
it differently. Okay.
So I think we run out of time, unfortunately.
So before we say goodbye, we would like to thank our sponsor for really nice clothing from Jazz Bow and also from Royal Ivy Regatta for Kun Chain.
Yes.
Thanks our sponsor. And thanks everyone that tuning in and stay with us until the end of the show. And don't forget to tune in again tomorrow,
Now
first
we
thing in the
have Facebook.
morning.
Yeah. Or visit our Facebook,
we have
please.
Facebook too. Go search for Morning Thailand on Facebook or email us whatever you think about us. We welcome all the constructive criticism on the morningthailandshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to let us know what you think. And see you again tomorrow live at 6 a.m. And that's the wrap for today. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดี
สวัสดี
ค่ะ
ครับ